Welcome to the Anxious to Secure podcast. I'm Jula, your anxious attachment style coach, CEO of The Marriage Coach. I'll help you to finally stop overthinking your relationship by overcoming your fear of being left by your partner. Thought by thought, action by action, now episode by episode. Why? So you can experience true, authentic, anxiety-free love and feel a lasting ripple effect in all areas of your life. Are you ready to become the best secure version of yourself? Let's go. Episode 8. Welcome back to the Mythbuster relationship episodes where I'll talk about relationship lies and myths. Today's myth is your partner is not your parent. Stop thinking they're supposed to take care of your needs. And this is a very great lesson for anyone who's anxious attached or struggling with relationship anxiety. And realize you don't have to overly rely on your partner. Relying on your partner is a great thing, but once it becomes too much, once you overly rely on them, then it becomes unhealthy. And I speak from my own experience. And every week I share 2 new podcast episodes. Every Tuesday, I'm going to share with you a relationship mythbuster episode. And every Thursday, you're going to have a regular episode. We're going to share you lots of tips, stories, and really help you to become more secure. So maybe you feel like they should make you feel secure. Maybe you feel like they should be there for you when you're down, or understand your love language completely and speak it. Speak your love language. Change their love language. But here's the thing. Whenever you say should, it's actually a cognitive distortion. Who says they should anyways, you know? Is it written in the Bible, in the stars? Is the universe telling you your partner has to do all of these things? How helpful is it actually? The truth is, relationships thrive on communication and not mind reading. And I'm going to also share with you how communication can be unhelpful if you only rely on communication as a way to communicate of a way of you should make me feel secure and safe, wanted and loved, versus grounding yourself first, fulfilling your own needs, and then communicating your needs additionally. But let's dive in. Expecting your partner to fulfill all your emotional needs like a parent is a recipe for disappointment, and I can speak from experience. You're not that child. You're not a baby anymore. And I'm saying this with all my love. I'm saying this with love, and I want you to hear me because this is something I wish I would have known. They are not your caretakers. They are not your parents. You're not their child. Your partner is not your daddy. Your partner is not your mother. You are now grown up and able to take care of your needs. You can learn to self-soothe, to tune into your emotions, to your thoughts, and then act from them. And then act on that. Try out different things and explore what you actually need. And especially if there's something missing in your childhood, this is something we then later expect our partner to fulfill for us. Love, security, attention, reassurance, appreciation, sense of belonging, all of these things. But when you can learn to be there for yourself, this is so much more empowering. It creates a more balance in your relationship so you can stand on your own 2 feet, and then your partner's there as the cherry on top. So let's look at the myth a little bit closer. This myth can show up in different ways. And you might think if they love me, they'll just realize when I'm feeling down. But they don't pick up on those cues. They're not supposed to pick up on it. You might pick up on your partner's cues easily because you're hypervigilant, but your partner's not supposed to do that. You know, your partner is supposed to take care of his own needs, of her own needs, and you're supposed to do the same for yourself. And then you can support each other as an additional thing. Maybe you rely on them for comfort during tough times, like thinking they should be your emotional rock. This is like carrying a backpack full of stones, expecting them to hold up your weight and theirs. It's like expecting someone to fill your cup, although they're still busy filling their own cup. And then you're just sitting there waiting and then getting angry why you're so thirsty. So they simply can't just give you what you need all the time. So let's talk about anxious attachment style. It's like I get it. I have been anxious attached for 30 more years. I am secure now. At least that's my main attachment style. I'm still, to some parts, anxious, and I'm actually proud of it now. You are not just an anxious attached person, a secure person. There's so many different parts that make you who you are. And attachment theory, again, as a reminder, is just a way to group behaviors. So don't ever label yourself like I'm doing here in the podcast, because again, this is just as an easier way to explain our behaviors. And tuning into also your anxious attachment style and realizing, hey, you know what? It's not all bad. Actually, I can accept my anxious attachment tendencies and then shift towards a more secure attachment style. It's even more powerful, because then you don't fight against yourself, then you're with yourself. And you might feel like your partner should read your mind. The belief often stems from a fear of being abandoned, perhaps from a history of inconsistent care from your parents, from your caregivers during your childhood days. Some days you felt loved and supported, but on others you felt completely alone. It's like being on a roller coaster. 1 minute you're like extremely high, and the other second you're like falling down. It's like a high and a low and a high and a low. When you expect your partner to know whenever you're upset, whatever's wrong with you, and when they don't then act on it, it triggers your insecurities, leaving you feeling unworthy, making you feel anxious about, hey, why does my partner not take care of me right now? Why is he not validating me? Why is he not reassuring me? Why can't he give me a hug? It's not his job. Relying on them for comfort is really, really tempting, but it puts really immense pressure on them. I find myself in a situation as well, thinking like, why can't they just see I need a hug? And sometimes I then sabotage myself by like crying even louder, so he can actually see, you know what, I'm in pain. Hello, give me a hug. Tell me everything will be okay. Guess what? He was not reaching out to me. But now I understand that we were both so triggered. We both couldn't break out of the cycle. He was feeling very triggered and had to have his own space. He couldn't reconnect to me just because I was crying and felt triggered. So it goes both ways, right? And let's talk about resentment a little bit. So when your partner doesn't meet your emotional needs, it's so easy to feel resentful, blaming him for how you feel every day when you feel anxious. So many times I read online, my partner makes me feel jealous. He makes me feel anxious. He makes me feel insecure. And I have this as well when I coach my clients online. A lot of them use this language as well, like, my partner triggered me today. My partner made me feel this way. My partner made me. And this is a language we are being taught very young, early on. When you go home and you hurt yourself and your mom say, hey, did little Timmy make you upset? Did he hurt your feelings? And it's something very common, very normal. It's a very easy language and we're used to. In fact, little Timmy can't hurt your feelings unless it's your thoughts about the situation that made you feel upset. It's always your thoughts about the situation. And it's okay to feel upset about the situation, but realizing it's not the other person that made you feel upset or anxious. It's actually your thoughts about that situation. And my podcast will really go into detail about this system, about how this actually works, about how our thoughts create our emotions, because this is key of really understanding how you work, take back power of your emotional well-being, and makes you realize, you know what, I don't have to feel this. I have the power to change how I feel, how I show up every day in my relationship and in my everyday life. And that's so, so empowering. Once you master this skill, it takes time and it takes practice, but you can do it. Let me dive a little bit into the avoidant attached partner's perspective. Let's talk a little bit about your partner. The more you understand how the avoidant attachment style works, the more you might understand your partner. And I'm again assuming here your partner's avoidant attached. You might be also single, but as an anxious attachment style, you will always be drawn to the avoidant partner. And it's possible that he's even disorganized attached, meaning he might have had some traumas in his past or neglect, but he has maybe some stronger avoidant tendencies. That's also possible. So your partner probably has a strong desire for, and these expectations can feel then very overwhelming, expectations of that they are supposed to make you feel a certain way. And a lot of clients, I would say, I want to be feel chosen. I want to feel special. That is a normal and a common need, but the way you show up shows the opposite, actually. Your partner is not supposed to make you feel this most special gem like you are on the planet. Especially he can't make you feel this way if you don't feel it already from yourself within. And that's the problem. You have this low self-worth, this wound of not feeling good enough, not feeling lovable, not being special. And then you expect your partner to tell you you are special, you are amazing, to balance this need out in this void. But your partner can tell you so many times that you're amazing and special and lovable. It won't fulfill your cup unless you work on that belief. Plus, they might have never really signed up for the role of being your parent, being your dad and your mother, right? It's like expecting someone to swim when they have never been in the water. You toss them in. If they feel cornered by your needs and your expectations, their instinct might be to withdraw more, to run, to escape. And then you're wondering, why is my partner withdrawing? Why is he pulling away? And what are you doing then? You are chasing harder. You're clinging on harder. And against the anxious cycles, you trigger his core wounds, he triggers yours. And that leads to isolation for both of you. And that sucks. But hey, let's work on it and create more awareness around it first. Another point I want to mention about the avoidant attachment style here is the more you lean on them, the more they might pull away, as I mentioned already. So I've seen couples in situations where one partner is so dependent on the other that the avoidant partner feels really, really suffocated. Because if they are avoidant attached or have avoidant tendencies, their biggest fear is probably of being trapped, losing independence, having no freedom. And this fear is being triggered whenever you move closer and closer and closer. And it's a painful cycle. And you don't understand what's going on because the avoidant attached partner has challenges to communicate their needs and their feelings because they're so disconnected from everything. Because again, they are avoidant. You have more awareness of what's actually going on. And you are more willing to explore it, to go deeper, to change that. While for the avoidant, it's very, very triggering going into the childhood history, hearing about how they were not giving enough hugs and love and support and reassurance and how they were missing all this emotional stuff. So let me share a little bit about my personal story. So I remember feeling down and thinking one, why can't he see me that I just need this hug? And you kind of create this victim mindset, or I created this victim mindset. I always felt like my partner really should see me right now. They should see I'm struggling. They should know how painful it is. But guess what? Your partner doesn't always know. They are probably so disconnected from their own emotions. They don't know what's going on. So many times I was really feeling very anxious, very triggered. I was completely broken down inside after an argument, after something happened. And guess what? 5 minutes later, my partner looked at me, surprised, huh? What's going on? Had no idea why I was upset, what's going on. Because for him, he already had forgotten everything that just happened 5 minutes ago, that we had a huge argument, and he couldn't believe that I'm still sobbing over it. So a lot of times when you are still stuck and spiraling for minutes and hours, maybe days, and sometimes some of my clients doing this for months and holding on to that and holding this grudge. Your partner has forgotten that this ever happened 2 minutes, 5 minutes after your argument. So what can we do? What's the takeaway here? Actions always create results. I want to give you some great action steps you can do. One thing you can do is really practice open communication. And usually communication is not the first thing I teach you. So be wary with this. Be very direct with your partner because they don't know exactly what you need, what's going on. Say, hey, babe, I really could need a hug right now. And then detach. You have to detach from your needs. When you express your need to your partner, be very specific. You have to let go from it because a need, if you express a need, is more like a wish. It's not like you have to do this or else. Because a lot of times we need this. Communications can come across as controlling. It's very critical. And guess what? If you're saying, you never hug me anymore, you don't know what I need, why can't you just do this or that? It's like a personal attack onto them. And as the Gottmans say, criticism is one of the killers of a relationship. It's one of the 4 horsemen. And your partner can only react with defensiveness against your criticism. So when you say things like, you always, you never, why can't you, and use a lot of you language, they feel attacked. And especially if your partner is avoidant attached or has avoidant attached tendencies, because this is their core wound being triggered. Hey, my partner thinks I'm not good enough. And they're pointing it out by telling me how to hoover, how to stack the fridge, how to fold the laundry, and what I've forgotten to buy when I went grocery shopping, and how I should dress, and that I should put on more sun cream, and all of these things. Every time when you criticize your partner, they feel personally attacked. They feel reinforced in their own limiting beliefs, and they feel like crap. And guess what? We remember the most how a person makes us feel. And if they always feel attacked and criticized and put down, it doesn't feel good, right? But that also doesn't feel good if you treat them like they're supposed to take care of your needs, like they are your parent. They don't want to be your parent. You don't want to be that child. That's not sexy, right? So learn to not to feel rejected when your partner then doesn't give you the hug you need. When you ask for, hey babe, do you like my lipstick? I could really use a compliment right now because I feel a little bit low today. Just be very specific. What do you need from your partner and why do you need it? And if your partner laughs and doesn't get it, don't be mad. Don't take it personal. You are in charge of your emotions. It's not your partner. It's your thoughts that create your emotions. But the more you actually learn to rewire your brain, change your beliefs, challenge your beliefs, and become securely attached, the less you will actually take it personal. And that's why we're talking about the next step, which is a key aspect of it, is filling your own cup first. And I'm sure you heard this saying, but it's so important and it's very good visual to use. So it's important to realize that you are responsible for your own emotional well-being. When you learn to fill your own cup first, you take away the pressure of needing your partner to do it for you. You are taking the power back. So learning to prioritize you and your needs means really finally stopping the cycle of abandoning yourself. That's why I used to do subconsciously a lot of times my entire life. Actually, I tried to always fit in, expect my partner to do things for me, to take off decisions from my head. When we went to the restaurant, I was hoping he would order dinner for me. But here's the thing, when you start going deeper into this, you realize you have the power to reconnect to yourself, reconnect to your little you, to realize, what is it that I actually need? What makes me feel safe, loved, connected, worthy, and then give that to yourself in everyday moments. And journaling is a great tool I'm using, and you can do that too. And I have amazing journaling prompts you can use that can really transform your abandonment fears by creating a lot of awareness around it. And if you can head over to my Instagram at the marriage coach at the.marriage.coach, you can reply under my posts and videos the word prompts, and you will get the journaling prompts that really transform my abandonment fears. And even if you're not someone who's really journaling often or never really, I think a lot of guys also are in my world who have an anxious attachment style, and you've never journaled and you think it's a girl's thing. I swear, try this. These questions are gold. If you don't want to write them down, you can do it in your head. But this is a warning. It has a much more deeper impact if you do these exercises actually manually with an actual pen and a paper and write these things down. It creates a much bigger impact on your brain and on your healing process. And what's even more impactful if you then read these things out loud. If you are in a safe environment. And one way to do that is also, for example, to learn to self-soothe, a very powerful tool, something that we haven't really been taught as someone who has an anxious attachment style, because you often overly rely on your partner to make you feel okay. You only feel okay through co-regulation, and self-soothing is kind of the opposite. It's taking care of your own emotions, learning to process them, learning to reassure yourself. So a tool I will explain in another episode is more like to regulate emotions without depending or without overly depending on someone else, like processing emotions through breathing exercises, through other tools. And by learning this, you'll teach your brain, what? Even if my partner's withdrawing, even if my partner's pulling away, even if he doesn't give me what I needed here, hey, I'm okay. I am alive. I can survive this. I'm not dying. Even if my brain wants to tell me that abandonment and rejection is a sign of death, it's not. And then again, as I mentioned, communication is just another tool. It gets so much easier after a while once you started to really learn about attachment theory, to understand about your partner's patterns, about your own patterns, and to stop taking things personal, what he's doing. For example, if you're expressing yourself from like, I need you to fix this, to I would love for you to support me while I'm working through this, it's a much more empowering shift and less pressure for your partner. And you can't make your partner change. You can only lean back, take a deep breath, and simply see if he's willing to support you. And if he's the right partner for you, if you were patient and expressed yourself in a very specific way, painted him a picture of what it looks like, detached from it, were patient with it, and reminded him a couple of times of it, and then nothing is changing, the needle is not moving towards it, and your partner is not willing to support you, not trying to change at all, then that's a sign. And it might feel very scary right now to think, hey, maybe then you might need to take a decision here. But let me tell you, the more you become securely attached, the more you realize, you are strong enough when you can handle anything. And the more you'll actually pull away from him, the more he will then come back to you. That's a funny thing. The biggest sign that you're actually becoming securely attached is that you realize, hey, you don't need him anymore. And that's when they come back. Anyway, that's something for another episode. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with another episode. And don't forget to grab my free journaling prompts on Instagram by commenting prompts under any of my posts or reels. And you can also send me a DM and chat with me, send me any questions so I can answer them during the podcast here or send you a quick message back. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for being with me today. Remember, change in your relationship starts with you. Thought by thought, action by action. Episode by episode. If you loved this episode and want to give me a virtual high five, please give me a 5-star rating wherever you're listening from. It really helps me to boost this podcast a little higher in the rankings so I can help even more people just like you. And even share it with one more person you think would benefit from this episode. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much and bye-bye.